Yes, guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be focusing on the academy. We've got Gav with us again, and there's a big conversation going on in the streams. You guys are talking about it in the chat and on social media, and we're going to address this first about whether or not City selling these players like Shay, Charles, like Lavia obviously last year, James Trafford, who are not really getting any game time at Manchester City. Some of them have never even played for City, but City getting the big cash. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Because some people on one side of the coin are saying, no, it's a good thing. City are giving these young players a career in football, so the young players will be happy with that, and City obviously get financially compensated with big transfer fees. But there's some other people on the other side who are a little bit concerned because they believe that because the players are not getting into the Manchester City first team, young players will stop joining Manchester City's academy because they don't get in the first team. So it's a very, very interesting conversation. And guys, let us know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section below. But Gav, what's your sort of take on this? Because I can see both points of view. What's your view on it?
Yeah. There's definitely an argument to say on both sides, but I think the thing is that what City first and foremost say is that they can offer the best coaches, the best facilities to help them grow as a player, and obviously add to that the palliative care and also any educational needs that the parents feel that they might want at that younger age as well. There is so many different elements to just actually whether they get to the first team or not. Obviously, it's great if they do, but obviously, City at all points say if you don't want to be here, we'll facilitate a way for you to leave if the price that's paid is reasonable and we can do the right deal and stuff. So and then make their own career elsewhere. But obviously, the really talented ones we want to try and keep, but you can't, as I say, you can't. Only give them a small amount of minutes. So, and obviously in James Trafford's case, a goalkeeper, he needs to be playing week in, week out at that young age to be learning, and there's just no chance anyone's dispossessing Ederson anytime soon. So it was a case of James had to leave, and obviously I think even any sort of buyback, you're looking at least 5 years with Ederson, aren't you? So I don't. Obviously, I mean, barring any sort of strange outcome, he does start to have an injury issue or anything, but he's an ever present, isn't he? He's not the only time he's had to miss some game was because for the Liverpool player nearly took his.
Mane.
Mane. I was saying Sammy in my head.
Mane. Yeah, took his head off, didn't he? Yeah. No, I mean, and this is the thing, of course. I'm hearing people on saying, these players are not getting first team minutes. Their young players are going to stop wanting to join Manchester City. But my response to that has been that, as you sort of alluded to there, it's more than just, that the chances of getting into the Manchester City first team are very, very slim. But the chances of getting into the Burnley first team are very slim. Or, even if you go down to the Championship, how many players are in these academy? I mean, you got, 15, 16 players in each group, in each sort of age group, maybe more. It's not realistic. The absolute main goal for the footballer when they're in the academy is to become a professional footballer, which is what we always say, don't we, Gav? When we do these shows, we say that is the priority, because there's nothing worse, right? And I know they'll come out of it well compensated if they've had a decent contract, but there's nothing worse than a young player going through the whole academy, maybe getting some decent money out of the way, and then by the time they're sort of 22, 23, they've fallen out of the game, and then maybe they have to go and get a quote-unquote normal job, and they can find it very difficult. So their main goal is to become a professional footballer. And what you said is absolutely spot on. City can offer the best academies, being the facilities, being the coaching, being the resting and the recovery side of the game, education. That's something that a lot of people don't know, but they obviously get the education paid for and all that at a private school. I forgot the name of it now. St. Bede's, so they're coming out of it, and they've got to think to themselves, okay, number one, if I come out of this and I'm not going to be a footballer, I need to make sure I've had a great education. Well, City are obviously putting you through that education, so you've got that. Number two, I really want to be a footballer. So what are the best chances of me becoming a footballer? Well, it's working at City, going through the City Academy with the best coaches and the best things. So, okay, yeah, there will be a few. I'm not going to sit here and say no one will do it. There will be some players who maybe have a big ego or whatever, or maybe are so good that they just think, you know what, I'm not going to go to City because I won't get in the first year. I'll go somewhere else. But I think the majority of people, especially when the families get involved and they have that proper conversation, will decide that no, Manchester City is the best place. I mean, look at James Trafford. He's never even played a game for us. He's now going to be playing Premier League football. Bazunu, I know, obviously got relegated with Southampton, but he'll be playing Premier League football. And you don't even have to be at Manchester City for very long. Some of these players come in, they're with us for a year or two, and then they're sold on because teams, when they're buying players from Manchester City, know the experience that they've been through at the football club. So, yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you want to add on that, Gav, before we move on to some specific players, or I think we've covered most of that there?
Well, obviously, the fact that not just the facilities, but the fact that they have this position where for the past three years at all levels they've won the league, and so that's got to be a thing for the players, and the fact that even if they don't go on to do something, a chance to win the FA Cup or medals within the league and stuff, it's something to show, isn't it? It's always that element that that they can say, because the club has done all it can to help these players. And like you say, it's nothing to shy away from, to say you've got these medals from these academy things, because there's so many big clubs that spend a lot of money, like say especially Chelsea at the minute. We're trying to make themselves in the forefront again, aren't they? With how they're trying to bring so many young players from all around the world.
And it's just a conveyor belt at the moment, guys. You know what I mean? You're looking at the players that are going. I mean, look at Lavia. I mean, 1 year he's had at Southampton, and he's already getting a big move potentially to Liverpool at 50 million quid. You've got Shay who's just following in the footsteps, and you've had plenty of players in the past. Even Sancho, it didn't end quite as amicably at City as the other two, but he's gone on and had great time in Germany. So City can prove to players when they're considering joining Manchester City that if you come to Manchester City, okay, the evidence suggests that there's a very small chance you'll get into the first team. Very, very small, unlikely. However, there's a very, very big chance that you will have a career in the professional game. And, quite a big proportion of that is actually at decent levels. So I understand why people are concerned, but hopefully we've done some, good conversation here to sort of alleviate some of them fears, because I just don't think that is true. Now, let's talk about Shay, Gav, because we've obviously spoke about him a lot throughout the year. We was actually quite surprised that it's taken this long for someone to come in for Shay. I felt that maybe last year someone might have took a gamble on him, or maybe even in January someone might have just got him. But he's gone now. Fee looks quite reasonable. I think it's up to like £15 million, including add-ons. Yeah. Not too dissimilar, really, from the Lavia situation. Obviously, he's already playing for the national side. I think it's a great move for him, personally. I think it's a great move for City. And I think Southampton are getting a great player here.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there wasn't really a situation where Shay was going to get any sort of minutes with the first team at City. So, again, carve your career out somewhere else. And obviously, Southampton at the minute, they're very happy to try and take some of our better players that are there and pay decent money for them and then play them, which Lavia got the game time. And now, like you say, he's moving on to bigger things, hopefully, for himself. And I know on Lavia, I'm not so sure. Possibly we should bring him back, but I'm sure that, I say, Shay, if he carries on, if Southampton don't get promoted, I'm sure there'll be a Premier League team knocking on the door in 1 or 2 years' time, definitely.
Yeah, he's a very good player, Shay Charles, and of course, like I said, we have spoke about him a lot this year, and quite surprised it's taken this long, but I think he's going to go on and have a decent time. Obviously, the Championship is going to be difficult. It's a difficult league, as we all know. It's very physical, and but I think that he's got the ability to get himself stuck in there, and looking forward to it. I think that is obviously going to be a decent one. Now, Carlos Borges actually is very interesting, because I've been saying pretty much all year that I think this guy's going to leave this summer. He has had a few links. here or there. You know, what are you thinking about the Carlos Borges thing? Do you see him leave? I think he's only got a year left on his deal, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So
I think he's only got a year left as well.
yeah. So City
Yeah,
have to
I
make a
think,
decision on this, and I think he's gone.
yeah. But again, I just don't think he fits into how Pep wants to play at this moment in time anyway. So it will be best for himself to try and find a club that's prepared to play him on a regular basis. Because there's no question, his talent of being able to unlock defenses and get in the box and be very destructive is undoubted. So, and he needs to find that club that will want to take him on and help develop him and make him even better than he already is.
Yeah, I think he's one that needs to be playing proper football now. I think he's gone past that sort of academy level, and it becomes a point where, oh yeah, they're doing really well, but after a while, it's actually a detriment to their football. They need to be challenged week in, week out. So I think he'll be sold, and City should get a decent fee. I mean, he's only got a year left on his deal, so I'm not sure what we'll get for him, but I think that we'll get some decent money out of him. A player that's not really an academy player anymore, but we've been speaking about him on the channel over the last 24 hours. James McAtee, Gal. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the news yesterday. Rumours that bids of up to £30 million was coming in for McAtee, and City have turned it down. I mean, obviously, he was at Sheffield United last year. He's another one that's come through the academy. Salford Silver, they call him. What do you think is going to happen here with McAtee? Do you think he will be loaned out? Do you think City are going to keep him with the first team? Because, again, he's in that age now where you've got to get the decisions right. Whether you keep him, loan him, it's crucial that you get this decision correct.
It really depends on what Pep's talking about to him, whether he thinks he can again give him the sufficient minutes to warrant keeping him. But I think we need to try and keep him, like I say, even possibly alone, like what's been talked about with Palmer as well. I think if they're not going to get the game time, not these types of players that have that skill around in and around the box to be that creative and how City play, isn't it? Keeping the ball and in those small spaces and creating chances. And James is one of those players, isn't he? And so if he can find Pep can find a way to give him more minutes, that's great. If not, try and see if he's happy to go on a loan for a year, because.
Yeah, maybe a Premier League loan. Yeah, could be an option.
I say all depends on obviously what's happening with Oscar Bobb as well, because I mean, he's one that's lit the under 21s up last year tremendously, didn't he? He was by far the best player in that division, and so he's been talked about being with the first team as well. So whether or not there's room for both Bobb and McAtee, I don't know.
Well, I think that from what I've understood here, Cole Palmer looks like he's probably going to get a loan move, which to be fair, I've not seen any links, but that sounds like the plan. And then maybe Oscar Bobb, obviously, is a more sort of natural right winger, because obviously that's where he did play for a long time, might take Cole Palmer's spot. And then maybe they're just deciding what they're going to do with McAtee. I mean, the facts are, Gab, we're going to be playing 60-odd games this season.
Oh, without doubt. There's
there probably is room.
Games, isn't there? Yeah,
it's just whether or not will McAtee get enough games. Like, you've obviously got to weigh it up. Yeah, he'll be playing with the first team, which is obviously beneficial to him, but he won't be playing that many games. So you've got to weigh it up. And that's why I say it's a very, very important decision, and they've got to get it right. Is there any other players that you want to go through? Because I do want to go into Oscar Bobb a little bit more detail, but is there anyone else you want to speak about before we go into Oscar Bobb?
No, I wasn't thinking of, because like I say maybe I'd say Deary Mabudi as well. He's another one, isn't he? That's again looking like he's outgrown the under 21, so he needs to find somewhere to get minutes, whether or not again it's a loan or whether it's a permanent sale. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
I think Mabudi is a player that maybe Pep would actually like, as opposed to Borges, who's a phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong. I just think the style of Mabudi may be a bit more fitting. Who knows? Could be completely wrong on that. But let's talk about Oscar Bobb a little bit more, because obviously he did have a fantastic year last season, and You know, you go on Twitter and he's blowing up on there. You know, you got loads of people speaking about him now. Loads of City fans have cottoned on to him. Even opposition fans are looking at how good he is. Obviously, he used to play right wing. He did move more into a central position, which I think is miles better and miles more sort of impactful on the game when he's in that central position. Do we think that he's got a serious option of getting some minutes next year? Because obviously we're hearing that maybe Mahrez has just come out now that Mahrez might be on his way to Saudi Arabia. You still don't know what's fully happening with Bernardo Silva. And I do think that out of everyone that we've sort of spoke about, Oscar Bobb is sort of like a perfect pet player in many senses. He's got the footballing intelligence. He's got great control, very calm on the ball. Do we see him having much time on the first team pitch next season, Gav?
Well, as I say, I think McAtee holds the key in this whole thing, doesn't he? I think if McAtee is part of the first team and getting the minutes, I think he'll probably take what Oscar Bobb might play, because he's had that year in the Championship, hasn't he? You know, and I think that more experience that he's brought him has, you know, put him way up in the backing order, hasn't it? You know, ready to get minutes in the first team. But as I say, depends on whether they want he himself or the club want him to get more minutes elsewhere. But no question that I'd give him as many minutes as James possibly, you know, because we can see the talent he's got. He unlocks defenses and how well he played for Norway under 21s. I know obviously they didn't do well themselves as a team, but certainly he was at the forefront of trying to create things. You could see from all the highlights and stuff. Yeah, it
will be interesting to see if City opt for maybe a loan from Oscar Bobb, because I think he's obviously at that age. But I think as well, something that they have to decide is if they're going to loan him, you know, do they want to loan him to a team that's going to play him on the right wing, or do they want to loan him? Because that's now a big thing for me, because like everyone's speaking about him, but obviously this year he's been playing more central. And I think he's just miles better. I think he's a completely different player when he plays in the middle. And when he plays in the middle, I think he looks like a player that can do serious business. So that's something that they have to deal with. But obviously, I think it's unlikely that they'll keep McAtee and Oscar Bobb. But if they've rejected a £30 million bid for McAtee, I mean that's pretty heavy. So look, it's going to be seriously interesting. And of course, you know, they've had a fantastic year, haven't they, the academy? You know, winning.
Yeah. I say really looking forward to the documentary on the City Plus on the under 21s. That'll be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, I just seen that on Twitter actually 10 minutes ago, like the little trailer thing. So that will be pretty good. But obviously we're in for a new season. Hopefully all the lads can win the titles again. Make sure you guys are following Gav on Twitter, and we'll put his links in the description for all your City Academy news. And we'll be doing, I guess when the season starts, we'll get them weekly shows going, because you guys like the weekly shows and it's a good update. So thank you very much to Gav for coming on and giving us his free time. Super appreciated. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Give us your thoughts in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next one.